Hello, everyone, and welcome to the episode 59 of the Office Hours podcast. Today we have Mo back with us, but before we begin, a point of housekeeping order: we did hit our 100 subscribers. We're actually sitting at 102 right now. So to those of you who have joined recently, thank you so much. I'd like to give a shout out to, what is the gentleman's name? Jishnu. Jishnu is the person who was the 100th subscriber, so thank you.
Thank you.
And on to new milestones, I guess. So yeah, and with that in mind, Mo, let's get on with it.
It's a good feeling to have 100 subscribers. It feels really nice, honestly. From the first one till the 100th one, it's a good feeling.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
guess the next milestone will probably be even better. So we're looking forward to it. 200, that would be right? Or
200. I
250?
think 200 is like a good start.
Okay.
And yeah, it took us. How long did it take? A year and a half ish.
Yeah, I think it took us about
So
a year and a half.
year and a half of like 50, 60 odd episodes, give or take, to get to that point. So we'll see if if what people are saying is true. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
the more you have subscribers, the faster you acquire subscribers. I mean, 100 is a small number. I don't think it's representative in YouTube scale, but it'll be interesting to see how long it's going to take to get the next 100.
I like 100. At least like it's a good unit.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
looking forward to it.
yeah.
By the way, how are you doing? Um,
Doing well. I mean, nothing particularly exciting was happening this week. So, not much to report.
you traveled, no? Like you got back recently?
Yeah, I got back. I got back from up north. So the last episode we did, I recorded up there. So I'm finally back at my, regular setup. So it should
Mm,
look and sound hopefully better with more clarity in the voice and all that.
mm.
But yeah, I'm back. But it's been pretty much work the entire week. So nothing too exciting.
I can relate.
So I hear you're traveling next, right? You're going away.
Yeah, yeah. I'm taking a little break.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get some sunlight.
Nice.
So that'd be nice. I
How long are you
mean,
gone for?
probably like a few weeks,
A
maybe
few
like a
weeks.
month or
A
thereabout.
month. Oh my God.
Yeah.
How are we gonna get to 100 episodes if you're away for a month? It's crazy
You
talk.
know what? You know what? Yeah, they're gonna join us anyway. They won't miss us too much. But before you know it, it'll be like a month.
Yes.
But
Yes.
we'll
Fair enough.
see. We'll see if we can work something out too. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
we'll see.
We'll see. I'll probably do some live streams for coding. I want to
Ah,
try it
that'd be
out.
nice.
Yeah. I don't know.
Um,
I don't know how
yeah,
that's gonna go, but it'll be interesting. Maybe I'll
you
get
should really
to,
do that.
yeah, do some of the tutorial stuff that I've been planning, and
Hmm.
in a lazy fashion, a live stream. We'll try one, see how it goes.
You know what? I look forward to the live stream so I can come there and ask you questions. So
Yeah, that'd be good. That'd be good.
yeah,
Um,
that'd be nice.
yeah, I have to
That'd be
pick, like,
nice.
you gotta pick a good time for a live stream though. Well, I mean, I'm kind of doing it after work, so but I have to give people time to get home from work and have some dinner or something. So maybe I'll
I
have to do like
find
an evening.
Saturday morning to be a good time to live stream for coding. There's this yeah,
Really
some of the yeah, because
interesting.
I find like most of the people that I know that does this type of thing, like live stream. But honestly, like I think maybe it doesn't really matter when you do, but I find like Saturday morning seems to be like a good time.
Huh.
Maybe like around like 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Thereabout. This time everyone who didn't go to party last night is actually awake and trying to get
Yes. So these are the ones
put
we want to
this.
get. Because if they didn't go to party on Friday night, they're really grinding, and that's kind of people that
Yeah.
we want.
Do you understand? The
Yeah.
people who are actually trying to like learn something new over the
Yes.
weekend, they do it on Saturday morning. So I don't know. because Saturday night you want to socialize and enjoy your weekend too. So I don't know. I find Saturday morning to
All
be a
right,
good time,
we'll
but
try
we'll
that.
see.
We'll try the,
We'll see.
we'll be the replacement for the usual Saturday morning cartoons for
Yeah,
developers who want
yeah,
to learn new
yeah,
stuff. Cool.
yeah. It'll be
Oh
good,
well.
good time. Anyway, so
Anyway,
the gist for today, is I'll give you backstory, right? So we can come into the gist. A few years ago, I have this friend who works in fashion. Um, she reached out to me with a proposal to help her build like an application to do to help with fashion business. So, for example, if you see a dress or like an outfit that you really like, and you want to know the fitting or like the where to get this type of outfit, um, you can like take a screenshot of the outfit, and then the app should be able to give you like all the details, like the sizing, like the websites to buy, stuff like this, like everything you need to get this particular exact outfit. And further down the line, I think there were some like we talked about it a little bit, but we didn't really start the project. Um, but not too long after we talked, we learned about like some other tools. I think one of it was Google Lens. And now if you have like a picture of the outfit, Google Lens will literally like find you where the outfit is. And you don't need to do a lot of stuff. Maybe the only thing missing is if you need like measurement from the outfit. So that's another part of the stuff. But this is pending. We intend to revisit it later next year to see if we can actually like do it for real, for real. But the reason why I'm talking about this is because yesterday I met this other guy who was talking to me about another application that he's working on. He's really building a startup. And this startup is supposed to help companies to be able to find, to curate content for consumers. So, for example, if you are trying to find, like, if you go on Google to find Canada Goose to buy, for example.
the brand or an actual goose?
No, the brand. The brand. So, this Google is going to take information from you, and they will take this information from Google and pass it to the brand to be able to create content that will make you want to buy more jacket. And when he said that to me yesterday, I was both impressed and upset. I mean, in a way, I was impressed because, well, it's a pretty damn good idea. Because if you could actually do it, because I think the challenge will be where to find the data, and you will have to 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 really win a lot of battles with this data. But um, he seemed to know what he would do, because I think there's also this other company called SEMrush. So maybe, and I feel like right now I don't know if I'm doing him a disservice by talking about his business here. But yeah, I think the problem would be like where to find the data. And I was impressed, but the issue I'm having is like, I find also software engineers most times, like if you work professionally, like I find like maybe is it me, or like maybe we don't even use our own skill for ourselves. Like we sell this skill, but somehow I feel like maybe there could be like um other ways to use it for yourself, like But I don't know.
Mm.
Is it is it a good way to think, or maybe you probably might just find a higher bidder, so who can probably buy your time for higher money?
Well, I mean,
You
if
know?
you, it's like that episode of what was it, Simpsons, when Homer is like wants some peanuts, and then he only thing he has is like $1, and then in his brain like this thing says money can buy you goods and services. So it's like, yeah, you are trading your skill for money, but then that money in turn gets you something, so you are using
Hmm.
it for yourself in effect. If you're talking in
Yeah.
about more like verbatim sense, um I guess you could. Like, I mean, I'm dabbling in like home automation right now, which is fun, and it's kind of at the level that I'm doing it, it's like requires a lot of skill. But that has risks of like upsetting people who live with you if the stuff doesn't work. And like I've been helping Masha with writing some code for her store, integrating like some systems together because like it wasn't
Interesting.
something that they could get off the shelf. So it's like, okay, well, I can build it. It's not gonna be pretty, but it'll do the job, and it like managed to carry their operations for probably like a good couple of years before they switched platforms and that thing got retired. So it was nice to be able to do that. Um,
Mm.
but I think that to hire myself to program for myself, I'd be too goddamn expensive. Like I would not be able to afford myself, basically. So I
You know
have to I
what?
have to sell it to other companies who could, and then I use that money to help me in my life.
I think for more context, yeah, what I'm saying is, I mean, I get like, for example, I mean, doing stuff like building like some applications for yourself, or like doing, for example, like I think at the end of the day, everyone has like a project or something like this.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of like, you see, the two stories I told just now, like these people are really like thinking really deep, but they don't have the skill. But they think about a problem that they want to solve. But I find that, and I'm really trying to just speak for myself here. Maybe I'm the only one. But I find that most times, or at least in my circle, I would say like we think of it like just in the aspect of selling your time, your skill for the compensation, and not necessarily like thinking, oh yeah, there is a problem somewhere here that I would really just put my time in to fix and probably earn a living from this, or probably like I know people who do this, and I follow a few of them, like maybe on social media, and to be honest, it's quite inspiring, just as much as talking to people who don't have the skill. And I noticed like the people who actually don't have the skill who think more about problems to solve. You'd be surprised like how many conversations I've been in where people are asking me like, yeah, do you think you can do this? Like, like what if we do this? Like, and I wonder why don't I think of things like this? Is this a personality thing, or like is it like
I think they're just different domains. And that's why, the beauty of the startup is where a technical co-founder and a business co-founder meet.
I guess?
Something grows out of it, maybe, potentially. If we talk about our startup birds and bees, you need a business co-founder and you need a technical co-founder. And I think it's pretty rare for one person to kind of have both, right? And I think people like that would eventually become household names because they don't need anybody. They have the idea and they have the means of turning it into reality, right? So
Mm,
it's as lean as you can possibly get, and you can run it that way for a really long time, right? So a lot of early stage risks are drastically reduced for people like that. So I think they have higher chances of succeeding. Um, Myself, it's the same thing. I'm really good on a technical side of things, but when it comes to coming up with ideas that are like, okay, what would solve people's problems that can be commercialized? It's like, I don't know. I can think about myself or like my immediate family, but their needs are usually not replicable onto like thousands or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people. It's kind of irrelevant. Um, like even the integration I built for Masha in her store, it's like so specific to the components were used that I don't think that there's like too many people who use both of those things in that fashion and have those kind of problems that would like warrant them like paying for it. And even if there were, there's gonna be like a handful, so it's not really like a viable business, I might as well just open source it and have people attempt to like integrate these things themselves, because I have no use for it anymore. And at times I think it's like, damn it, if I had some really good ideas that I could implement, that would be pretty cool. But so far, even when I try to think about, maybe I'm not doing good enough job at like thinking about these things. And also ventures like, oh, let's build something, they'll just shove more ads down people's throats. That thing kind of makes me feel dirty. So I wouldn't even want to build something like this in the first place, even though technically it can be very lucrative. I don't know, it just feels wrong. It just perpetuates the dead internet where like one set of robots is like pushing some data to another set of robots and everybody thinks it's like real human connection and communication. It's just not my thing.
I see. You know what? This is why I said like about I was impressed and upset. The part of me that was impressed was like the fact that you can actually think of stuff like this.
Mm-hmm.
And no, and the way he sold it to me, it also impressed me because like he really did good job, like a very good elevator speech, and it was good. But the part that I understand, like making applications like this that tend to shove more, like we don't already have enough, right? But um, it's neither here or there. I wish him luck in his business, but for me, I'm just trying to find a way to inspire myself um in other things. Like I've also learned over time, like yeah, like it is a company that I help my brother with, and um I understand a bit about building a startup, and I know what are the consequences and like the struggle of building a startup, yeah. But I'm trying now to, as I'm talking, this is not like I prepared to ask you this, but this is just me thinking and asking you now. Like, I'm trying to understand, like, why, um, when you work professionally, like here, do you think it's because of the load of work that we actually do during the day that you find yourself not really inspired to think outside like this, or because I have noticed that just like a lot of people who are actually non-technical tend to have a lot of solutions to problem. These are the people who actually like find the problem and propose the solution. And now you're thinking about, oh yeah, it's possible. It's possible as a tech person. Now you're thinking about how come you didn't have the idea yourself?
Well, one thing you have to watch out for is, you know, in order to be a good entrepreneur, you have to be good at sales. But being able to sell a bad idea doesn't really lead to anything. So what if that idea is not that great? It's just the sales pitch was really good and you're still like, wow, this could totally work. But in fact, it's like
Hmm.
mediocre at best, right? Like they're good at selling the idea. And there's many venture funded companies that sold their idea to the venture fund in return for some money to try to take it off the ground. But statistically, we know that very small percentage of startups actually makes it. So a lot of those ideas aren't actually that good, and a lot of startups like pivot 4, 5, 6 times. So they managed to sell the idea that wasn't really that good, which probably also means that a lot of ideas being generated in that space are not really that good. And it's okay, that's kind of why the whole system is in place, is that somebody is taking a gamble on 100 different things, hoping that one or two of them are going to be like worthwhile and will pay off for everything else. Like it's the same way like the music business works. They sign hundreds of artists, and then somebody gets their Taylor Swift and billions of dollars, right?
You know what? Yeah, I feel better now. Yeah, you're right. Maybe it's just the sales pitch. But anyway, I would like to be able to feel more inspired like
Well,
this.
you're
But
you're going on vacation now. You're not going to be working, so you'll have plenty of time to not think about work, and maybe some other things will, pop into your head, and you'll be like, "Huh, that sounds pretty interesting."
right now, right, maybe, but right now, I have a question for you.
Mm.
Like right now, if you what is like a major problem that you have, not like personally, like I mean like a major problem that you would really like to solve? Maybe in like media, maybe in like tech, as you tools that you use. But if you have um 6 months free to yourself right now, what would you do with it?
Hmm. That's a quite an expansive question. In terms of tools, it's like, I used the editor written in the 80s. So most problems were already solved for it. I don't really, I want for nothing there.
We want 2025 problems, Vasily, not problems that we all can benefit from, you know?
I don't know. Do I have problems of that nature?
Ah,
I guess it's also there's like this implicit assumption that like a lot of people have a lot of problems, where I think most people actually don't really have problems. They have some minor annoyances at best, because our life's so good that a minor annoyance can be qualified as a problem these days that immediately needs solving and resources need to be allocated. And it's just like, just, sleep on it. It'll be better tomorrow, right? I don't know. Maybe also that's why I'm not gonna be a good entrepreneur, is that I am ascetic and content a lot of times. Like I don't really need that much. So because of that, I don't really need to solve too many problems. And if something bothers me and I can live with it, I'm just gonna live with it. And like, okay, it bothers me. Well, big deal, right? But I think for people who for whom a lot of things bother them and they're looking for solutions, I guess they either, if they can do stuff, they go into entrepreneurs, and if they can't do anything, they go into activists. So, the paths are open. But for me, I don't even know. Like, what are my problems? I don't think I have any problems. So
maybe I'm putting you on the spot.
yeah,
So I'll tell you a few that maybe if I have a few months to myself, maybe I can work it out. Especially with like the new one of it is like, and I say this carefully because I feel like maybe some of my friends might be watching this. Like so I would like to use to have like to train a model like for myself that replies my messages for me like it's me. Like you have a GPT,
yeah.
that you can train to answer. You know how these things work. I would like to train one that actually writes like me. And I know this is a problem because if it gets in the wrong hands, I'm in trouble. This is literally me in the wrong hand. But I want one because, yeah, you know, then I don't have to. I mean, this is just one stupid. You see, this is what I'm saying. This is a really bad idea, but
You're
but
making it sound
uh,
really bad, not gonna lie, It's almost like, are you focusing on the right thing? Do you want to like pretend, like you want to cut off your friends from your life but pretend like you didn't by means of AI automation?
no,
Or
no.
what?
I have I have a reputation for like oh yeah, you know how like sometimes you're not the best person to reply your messages on time, or like so like those urgent ones they get replied on time. Someone I have, it's like a secretary. You have a personal assistant
You can
that
spend 6 months on just making yourself replying on messages at better times and not like try to put it in a plane where it's just completely separated from reality.
okay, let's say that idea is bad. Okay, that's a bad
I
idea.
recently
Let's take
heard that
another one.
somewhere in Europe they put like AI chatbots into confessionals instead of like a priest. And it's just like, well,
You see, it's not totally bad. That's something, right?
no, it is really bad. It is really bad. It's like, I
At
don't
least you
know.
confessed.
It just smells of a dystopia where, we talked about it very early on about like AI girlfriends and all of that. It's the same kind of thing. You're like
It's
replacing.
happening, Vasily.
Yeah, but that doesn't
AI
mean it's
girlfriend.
good just because it's happening. When, I don't
They
know,
look really
World
good
War II
too.
was happening, you could also say, well, it's happening, but that doesn't mean it was good. It was kind of shitty then, and this type of stuff is kind of shitty now. Like,
Well, Vasily, it is happening. People are having AI girlfriends. You have to respect it.
no, I actually don't have to respect it. I can mock them and ridicule them completely, and nobody's gonna
I
say
won't.
otherwise.
I won't. I
Well,
respect it.
to
And
each
it is
them
what it
own.
is. It is what it is. Okay, let's say this is a really bad idea. I have a few that I want to pass with you.
You have a few really bad ones. Okay, top 10 of most bad ideas. Let's hear it.
I have a few. Let's see. Maybe. So sometimes, like, I find like, um, I think this one maybe already exists even. Like, when you read a book or maybe watch a podcast sometime, and you want another one that feels exactly like what you just read or listened to, literally. Like, but I noticed like there are several different types of podcasts that actually like kind of triggers different feelings. Some might feel make you feel say for example, I don't know if you know Dario the CEO.
Yes, I know the channel. I watched like maybe one or two episodes on it, but that's not my uh main source.
Dario Dario the CEO, if you listen to this podcast, it's a it's a type of podcast that you can listen to and gain things from it, but it doesn't necessarily hold your attention to the screen. So like it's kind of like there's a different type of emotion. If you compare this to like maybe Shits and Gigs, I don't know if you know Shits and Gigs as well. Like they said, there are two guys from the UK. They just talk about lifestyle, like the different things, like
Hmm.
trendy stuff. So they have different moods, but I would like to be able to um find in the pool of all these medias to be able to categorize all of them into different moods and like into different like feelings
Mm.
and that you can do like with different times. I
So it's kind of like
I
Spotify's automatic playlist, but instead of songs for
it's
podcasts.
no, but Spotify's one is not really good, you know. Like they don't necessarily match your mood, but it's a thing, it's an idea,
Well, at
something
least they
like that.
kind of follow in the same genre and style, so you kind of get more of the similar thing. I don't really listen to Spotify music, so I don't really know what I'm talking about right now.
I
This is what I
don't
heard.
it's not I they try to, but it's not usually. I think you could find most of similar maybe on YouTube sometime
Hmm.
because YouTube will categorize it in terms of like content type. So if you listen to like gospel music, it's just gonna give you like more gospel music, but it's not the same. Um, what I'm trying to what I'm trying to do here is play on the emotion, not the content type. So
Right.
like how it makes you feel.
But how would it know how it
Sometimes
makes you feel?
that's the good question because you have to be able to, that's the work exactly, because it's part of the work. You have to be able to categorize each of this content into like,
Maybe
uh,
once Neuralink comes out in general availability, you can just, install it in your brain and then it will actually know how it makes you feel.
you are not thinking about this idea, Vasily. This is a good idea that can make us a lot of money. you
I
should
mean, it's a
you
good
should
idea.
consider it. Yeah?
I mean,
You
it's a good
agree?
idea. Well, it is kind of a good idea, but I feel like for me, I would even want the opposite because as you said, like if you listen to something on YouTube, it just gives you more and more of the same thing. And eventually it's just like, Jesus, give me something, give me some, like, spice it up a little bit, give me something different, right? And it doesn't, because it's like, this is what you like, listen to this. I
Mm-hmm.
know you better
Mm-hmm.
than you know yourself, right? So they still haven't really solved that. I mean, occasionally it pops up that new to you thing, which shows you completely random things, which sometimes is interesting and sometimes is a hot garbage, right? But I guess for podcasts which are allegedly informational, if you want sort of more of the same, you can probably do that. And I don't know. It's one of those famous last words, but like it doesn't even feel like it's too difficult because you have sentiment analysis. You can establish patterns in terms of like the content frequencies and things like that. And if you catalog a bunch of podcasts, you can create like some sort of multi-dimensional snapshot and then say, well, what aligns closely to this and get some more of that, I guess it just really depends on how you pick your parameters for what it's going to be paying attention to. But it feels like it's ultimately doable. Because, you can recognize the text in the podcast, you can like clean it up. But, it could be an interesting project to work on, but I don't really, I know in theory about all of these different bits and pieces, but in practice it's probably way more complicated.
It
And
is.
yeah, so
It
I don't
is.
know. I probably would not really have fun working on something like that, to be honest.
Well, you never know. I think you will because you have a curious mind. So I think you will. I think if you really start working on it, it will change how you feel about it. But it started as a joke. Now I'm thinking about it. Actually, it might be something. Because the real reason why I started thinking about it was like sometimes I like to have podcasts while I work.
Yeah.
And when you choose the first good one, that is like maybe one of these Modern Wisdom. I also like
Yeah.
the guy from Modern Wisdom.
Modern Wisdom's really good.
And they don't really like hold your attention, like grab it so much, but somehow it's you still listening, but you're not like you know what I'm saying? Like nobody's yelling, nobody's like talking too much. And there are also other types of like podcasts where like you just want to listen to it and laugh and like it's funny. Although they're like categories, you have
Yeah.
like categories like already, but
it's
maybe
interesting. I never really listened to any kind of like fictionalized podcasts. Because there's like all these true crime podcasts and like science fiction podcasts and all of that. Never
yeah,
listened to any one of them. Like
yeah.
all of the stuff I listen to is either like conversation with real people about our life and our world, but I very rarely talk about something outside of that in a podcast form. Like I remember watching, there's this guy called, I think it's called The Fourth Age, and he talks about culture in a context of comic books, which is interesting because I never really read comic books. I don't really enjoy reading comic books, but I kind of understand why people do, and I understand that like in North America especially, it's like quite a big slice of, it's like a formative slice of people's, basis, cultural basis, right?
Yeah.
And through that lens, he talks about a lot of the things like the zeitgeist, the things that are happening in our culture right now, and where it comes from and where it potentially leads to. And for me, that's just like another corroboration from a different angle of a situation that I'm like paying a close attention to that confirms it from an entirely different angle that like what I have in my mind is right. But I would not listen to a podcast about comics where they talk about like the actual comic book where some superhero does some stuff. Like that would just be not interesting to me at all. And so in my personal view, it's like if I find some podcast that I'm interested in, I just go and listen to the back catalog of it, or they release one like every week, And it's kind of funny because a lot of these that I listen to, they're like 2-3 hours long, and a lot of them I have to listen to across like it'll take me like a few days to finish it because I'm not gonna like take 3 hours all in one sitting. So like I'm gonna listen to like half an hour of it there and half an hour of it over there, and then eventually it'll be over. And it's I had the situation where I would have like 5 or 6 different tabs open with the things that I want to listen to, and it's just like each one of those things is like 3 hours. It's like, man, I don't have the time,
You know what? Well, off camera, maybe we will talk about this. Because, like, I was just thinking, like, I think there is a
Yeah.
personality type to this,
Yeah.
like having
Like even now I have like a Modern Wisdom episode queued up on my phone that is like halfway through, so
yeah, yeah, I think so. But yeah, also like not just with podcasts though. I think there is also like you could also have the same thing with like movies, like on TV. Like sometimes when I watch a show, and the way I feel after watching the show, I don't want to watch another show because now I have to change. It changes everything. Now I have to start from like
okay, what
I
was the
have to
show
start.
that changed everything?
See, if you watch I don't like to watch like shows, TV shows to be honest, because except I know I get good recommendation from it. So the last one I watched, um,
That
was
that changed everything, right?
that changed everything. What do you mean changed?
Well, you say you watched the show, you don't want to watch another one because it changed everything. So I want to know
It
which.
changes how you feel. That's what I mean,
Right. But
basically.
like,
It changes.
what are the shows that you've watched
Okay.
recently that changed everything for you? Because I'm interested. Like, I'd like to watch something of that impact, right? Because a lot of the stuff I watch is
Nah, I feel
fluff.
like you're teasing me, basically.
No. I'm being serious. It is really hard to find a worthwhile show these days that is
Exactly.
good.
You see,
Yeah.
that's what you just said. That's the problem. A
Yeah.
worthwhile show.
Well, there's
That's the
like a lot of
problem.
trash being produced. You're just swimming in a sea of crappy shows.
That's the exact problem. But what you call crappy is probably what someone else prefers to watch. And what we're trying to do is so that when you find your good show, you always find uh better recommendation. Because right now I can tell you like you can open Netflix or whatever streaming services you have.
You're gonna be scrolling for 40 minutes and end up watching nothing. That's
Yeah,
what's gonna happen.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So like this is a problem that I think would probably be nice to solve. Like everyone has like a preference. Anyway, moving on. I want to move on to another phase of my ideas. In terms of tooling, well, you use the a different IDE, but for people who use like Visual Studio, for example, I find like everyone works with like, especially if you work with like the browser, you web developer. I find sometimes some people actually have like this browser extension in Visual Studio, but it's not so good. So I wonder why you don't have a good one with strong developer tools inside Visual Studio. Why not?
Inside, like to
Like,
to work on Visual Studio or to help you work on
it,
other things.
no, no. So like, you know how like if you want to like run your application, you have to like switch screen to go to the
Mm,
browser.
right.
Like, why can't we have a browser inside the IDE that's good?
I guess that one I don't really see. I mean, it depends on people's workflows because I see a lot of people. Sometimes, again, I'm getting to a stage where I can get very curmudgeony and sort of, you know,
Chromogeny.
yeah,
What does
yeah,
that mean?
it just kind
That,
of, annoyed with other people's choices. I
okay,
guess. I don't know.
go
I don't
on.
know. That's not exact translation. It's like if you remember like Clint Eastwood doing like his disappointed face where he just like ugh, that's sort of the feeling I'm trying to evoke. Um
Well, go on, hit me, go on.
but sometimes I see people like who have the terminal open in Visual Studio and they have like four or five different terminals open to run different tasks and I'm just like, oh my god, man, like use Tmux or something. Like seriously, your life is going to be so much better than this crap. And things of that nature, right? But you can't really tell people what's good for them. They have to arrive at it themselves. And maybe if you build an extension that just gives them a browser and a tab inside Visual Studio, that could be really good. Um,
Yeah,
it would be interesting how you would integrate it because I don't really think it would support it unless you just leverage Chromium itself within VS Code and just have the ability to run Chromium in one of the tabs and open it to your application, so you can kind of just switch between tabs. But if you're switching between tabs, it's like switch between a tab or switch between a window. Like, what's the big difference, right?
There is a big difference. I can
How?
tell you this for sure. So sometimes the it's like when you have a terminal, you know how you have your machine terminal,
Mm-hmm.
the one that people use. And you also have a terminal in your VS Code. It's the same reason that you have a terminal in your VS Code and you don't have to switch screen to go use that one. It's the same reason why you need a browser, a working browser in your IDE
I have my
instead of
ID in
actually.
a terminal. I don't even know what you're talking about.
First of all, you should join us and have it on screen. You should not have an ID, but I mean, you're used to it, and this is your weapon. This is how you work. So I guess it's convenient. But if you use an ID, I think it solves a lot of how do you say that? What's that word now? Context switching. Like you
Right.
can actually just stay in one place and you have everything you need here. You just like develop it now because now like there is a lot of more features coming on Visual Studio that keeps you like within the
Mm.
IDE. And I think the more even now that nowadays that we have like bigger screens, so I think it's probably like a better time to have it because if you have like one of these long screens that can actually like help you just stay focused, then you don't have to go on the browser. This browser only runs your like local host stores, not necessarily, I mean, or I don't know, this is my idea, it keeps like just your local host or like something, so you don't have to go on YouTube. Because then if you go on your actual browser, then you can spend some time on YouTube. Then you can remember, oh yeah, you need to order something. And now you spend like a few moments that you're supposed to use to actually work doing something else. I think
Okay.
it
I mean,
helps.
that's fair. I can see that. Um, Definitely, you have all those outer tabs in your browser. But the thing is like you rarely, if ever, have your application tab open just by itself, right? Because you're still Googling things, you're reading documentation, and like, don't get me started on people who have Chrome with like 600,000 tabs open so they can't find anything.
Yeah.
Like that thing
Yeah.
just drives me nuts. Um,
Yeah.
so they have groups. You can use groups, makes your life much better for stuff that you
Yeah.
need, and you can pin things that you need always. I have my Jira window pinned because it's always open
Yeah.
because you always need to check what's going on, right? And same idea. But you're just gonna transplant, like, what would prevent you from, like, if you can't open documentation tab or Google inside your VS Code, you'll have to defer to your main browser, and then you're back to where you started. And if you can open any tab in your VS Code browser, then you can open YouTube in there as well, all the same. So again, you're back where you started.
I think there will be, you will be able to avoid like this browser. You know what? The fact that it is in VS Code itself, I think puts you in a
Mm.
helps you to stay at least a bit more like on task because you can't be watching cartoons in VS Code. What's wrong with you? Like, man, we're trying to solve a problem here. You can't be watching YouTube shorts in your VS Code.
Well, if you're
You
watching
probably
YouTube Shorts, you're a lost cause. Like, forget about it.
you
Back
shouldn't.
back back to the subject of shorts. Um, I needed, it was after hours. It was not a work day, but I have like this blocking thing on my phone that like prevents me from opening YouTube Shorts.
Mhm.
Um, and I needed to open something else, so I disabled the extension to show somebody some link or something like that. Or it might have been a short that somebody sent to me, and in order to see it, it was like, okay, fine. So I turned it off, and I forgot about the fact that I turned it off. And then the next day, I opened up Shorts, and it's like, oh, look, 3.5 hours of my time gone. Even though I had that extension installed for months now. I've been training myself not to watch those things. And as soon as I slip once, guess what? So your better bet is not just putting your browser window in your VS Code. Okay, it's a contrived example, I know, but there's a great extension called Leech Block. You just install it in your browser and you say, never go to these websites, and show an angry message every time you do. And it'll help you for as long as it's turned on. But as soon as it's turned off, it's like, forget about it.
Plug this website, plug this extension. It's Leech Block.
Leech Block. It's like the things that leech your time. So you can block them so they no longer leech your time. So you can just set it up that during business hours, they will not allow you to open YouTube. You know,
et voila, huh?
Et voila. And then, you know, you put a password on it and you give it to your wife, so you can't just, because you're gonna have the itch. You're gonna be like, oh my god, I need my shirts, man, I need my shirts. And
yeah, that's a plan. So now you just brought up a competitor for my idea, because clearly I'm trying to get us to spend more time inside the IDE. This is what I'm trying to do. Spend more time inside the IDE environment and not have to like move around.
But everybody's competing for your attention, you know.
We want to win this competition. So if you stay inside the IDE now, I'm doing my job as a sales guy right now. I don't know if I'm selling this thing properly. I hope I am. I am, right? Tell me I am, obviously.
Well, we let the comment section decide if that was a good pitch or not.
Well, hopefully. But
thumbs up the video if you thought that was a good pitch.
I just gave you 3 ideas. Yeah, please. Yeah, I would like to know which of these ideas you would vote on. But Vasily, I just gave 3 ideas.
Yeah.
Do you have anyone coming to mind right now that you would like to solve?
Well, I've been very busy listening to what they are. I haven't had a chance to think of my own. And I think that the podcast finder could be a good idea. I mean, it is a good idea that could be doable. Yeah. Does that mean I'm going to be trying to do it? Probably not.
Yeah, we could do it, you know. We could do it maybe next year as a pet project, you know.
Yeah, well, I have already too many pet projects as it is. So, well, anyway.
This will be, we'll see.
We'll see how it goes. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. But anyway, I've really enjoyed this. Just sharing my ideas with you.
And me being a devil's advocate and just crapping all over them.
Listen, this is how it works.
Yeah, it is how it works.
You have to help me to think straight, because some of them, I guess, might be really bad. But they solve some problems. Anyway.
Yeah.
You know?
As long as they're not like perceived fake problems.
Yeah.
There's a lot of those.
Actually, so.
Yeah.
There's a lot of those, you know. You know what? Yeah. Just for privacy reasons, like some ideas that I've received, I think were sometimes when people tell you about like, oh yeah, they want to solve a problem. Yeah, I'm afraid sometimes. Like, yeah.
You know, I think a lot of people are afraid. It's like, oh my God, somebody's gonna steal my idea and build it and make millions of dollars. But you know, the proof of the pudding is in eating it. Like, if they built your idea and succeed, I mean, fair enough, but you should have built it yourself too.
Yeah, and the thing with ideas is like, you're not the only one who has it.
Yeah, everybody has idea. Like if you have an idea that's worth like $10 million, in reality, that idea is worth like negative 10 million, because you have to spend that much to get it off the ground, right? And when people hear ideas, they're like, it's a good idea, but I'm never gonna build it. And besides, you know, as I said in the beginning, we're only at 102 subscribers, so the chances of somebody stealing it and like running away with it are pretty low.
Yeah, 100 is a big number, you know. 100 is a big number, Vasily. You should acknowledge that. Well, it's a big number, so like there is a big chance. We'll
have a time-stamped episode where you can go back and be like, see, we talked about it prior to this guy doing it, so it was our idea in the end.
Yeah, all I'm saying is, if any of these ideas actually like resonates with you and you decide to build it, at least just say you heard about it on Office Hour podcast. You know, like
just some back attribution would be nice. But you know what's likely gonna happen is that you build this idea, and then some lawyer from Spotify knocks on your door holding a patent that says, a method and implementation for recommendation of podcasts to individual listeners based on blah, blah, blah. And be like, give money, please, now.
You know what? I'll say something about this. I've learned that with every success in tech, there will always be someone who will come at you with lawsuits or whatever. Like this is part of the business. As
Yeah.
you make the money, you keep some change for your lawyers because yeah, except they
You
can
can't keep
prove it.
change for your lawyers. Those guys are like $300 an hour. What are you talking about? You have to keep like
Yeah, big
most
bucks.
of the money you make for your lawyers if anything goes south.
Yeah, keep some money for your lawyers
Yeah.
because yeah, you need to fight because somebody is gonna come to
Yeah.
you to say like, yeah,
Maybe 100 years in the future they'll like genetically engineer a perfect entrepreneur who has like a law degree, who passed like the bar exam so he can represent himself against lawsuits in like patents and otherwise, and then he has all the ideas and he's like an excellent developer, and then he'll take over
listen,
the world.
that would be a perfect human being. No, that would be that would be a perfect human being. That could be another idea to build a perfect robot. You
Yes,
know,
and make him
that can
come up with your like I'm kind of coming back to that show Pantheon, where
yeah.
they like digitize the guy's brain and put him in a simulation to like write software for him and like just run him inside a simulation. He doesn't know he's inside a simulation, but they're like using him to like make money for the company. It's like, yeah, building a
That
perfectly engineered
mm,
machine of an entrepreneur with all of the
mm,
skills. Hmm.
yeah, that's you know what? Let's not preach this idea too much because this can actually happen. We
Hey,
have
I,
a
I I
hundred subscribers now.
I tried asking ChatGPT for like ideas for an application to build to do like a tutorial episode, and it was pretty poor. I
What?
recently asked a couple of models to help me find a book that I read when I was a kid, and I can't remember for the life of me who was the author or what it was called. And it's just like hallucination central. They're completely useless.
Well, maybe you didn't put the right key stories from the book.
I did. I
It's
think I did.
possible.
Anyway.
Because I think like there is also like Google Library. Is it No, it's not
Well,
Google
Google Library, I
Library.
think, yeah, they do. They digitize books. But
Yeah, they're
yeah.
pretty solid. I think they help. I mean, they helped me, but I don't know how rare this book is. And now we're talking timelines, so maybe it's like pretty much like maybe a while ago.
Now I start even thinking like, does that book even exist, or is it like some figment of my imagination?
Maybe it's a story.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a story, a bedtime story.
It could have been like a short story or maybe a novel. It wasn't like a huge book, but anyway, it was a pretty good science fiction book. But I can't remember too much about it. I just remember reading it and enjoying it. So
Yeah,
I thought like,
you
oh,
could find
maybe
it.
ChatGPT, they have all the knowledge of the world. He'll help me find it. Nope.
Oh, no. I mean, Chatty is pretty smart, but
Yeah.
I don't know if he's that smart yet. But
I'm
we'll see.
actually downloading Grok locally to try the same, because the model that I had locally, it was like a Llama 3.2, which was like only 2 gigs, and the Grok
Mhm.
model is like 160 gigs, so probably it has a little bit more beef uh, on its bones.
160. You're gonna put 160 locally. Gigs.
Yeah. You know,
Why? Actually, why?
what do you mean why?
One 160 gig
Yeah.
locally.
What's the big deal about that?
Well, I mean, I'm just maybe just impressed that you have that amount of space locally on your machine to to try things out. To try things out. But it could be really nice. What's your experience with it so far?
I only tried it a handful of times. I'm running a smaller model because I'm integrating it with my home assistant for home automation, but so far the results are kind of mediocre.
Yeah. Oh, wait, what? It's mediocre?
Yeah, I mean it's like it needs a bunch more stuff to work better.
You know what? For me, when you say mediocre, I want to believe it's mediocre, but I also know that you don't really rate a lot of these generative models. Like you don't really rate a lot of them like to be smart indeed. Like how mediocre would you compare it to? Mediocre ChatGPT level or
No, I mean, okay,
mediocre
like if I tell it, hey, I want
Gemini
you to
level?
turn on lights in my office, it does that, but it's just like it takes like good 5 seconds to process and come back with the result, and it's slow. I don't like it. I just want to be able to say it, and it immediately does it. So it's
This
mediocre.
is what you call mediocre, Vasily.
Yeah.
You see, this is why I had to ask the question, Vasily, because like I know I know what you could call mediocre. Like this is not mediocre.
It's
This
not
is
usable. It's not usable.
5 seconds.
Yes,
It
it's a
takes
long
5 seconds.
time. It's a really long time. Especially if you're coming from a wall switch that does it like at the speed of light, literally. 5 seconds is a really long time. So there's still room to grow.
I guess there is room to grow. So hopefully, yeah, hopefully.
Well,
But
I guess we might not see you next week
yeah,
since you're going on vacation, but do enjoy your vacation. If you find some
thank you.
time to connect and record something, that'll be interesting. If not,
Okay.
then, we'll see you when we'll see you. In the
Yeah,
meantime, I'll try to do some live streams or maybe record more tutorials or something to kind of keep the
yeah,
channel going. Man, YouTube is such a, like, they really force you to upload all the time. Otherwise, they just kill you.
yeah. They keep you
Yeah.
accountable. And now that we have 100 subscribers, we have to feed the subscribers, So yeah,
Damn
yeah.
it. Subscriber, you're too demanding, guys. Too demanding entirely.
Yeah, yeah. It's a
Well,
good thing.
with that in mind, we'll see you in the next one and have a great day. Bye.
Bye.